Schools reflect our changing demographics, but what about our library books? Can children see themselves represented when they look for a book to read? Learn more about what local authors are doing next on Connecting Our Community. Hi, I'm Pat Shoemaker. Welcome to Connecting Our Community. Our first guest this evening is local award-winning children's author and journalist Karen Leggett-Abaraya. Our second guest is Lulu Delacre, a bilingual author and illustrator of children's books since 1980. Welcome to both of you. I'm sorry I messed up your name. But this is so fascinating to me, published authors here right in front of me. It's just such an accomplishment, I think, to be able to write a book, to get it published is just amazing. And the reason that you are writing these books is even better. It's to increase awareness of diverse populations. So Karen, how did you get involved in this?
I've reviewed children's books for a long time, and then I had an opportunity to write a children's book. My husband is Egyptian, so we're very familiar with what's happening in Egypt. And when the 2011 revolution happened, a friend of mine who's an illustrator, Susan L. Roth, decided we really needed to tell the story of what was happening in Egypt. And we wanted to tell the story about the ancient library of Egypt in Alexandria and the new library, this brand new library that has been built there in 2002. And we wanted to tell the story of both of those. And while we were writing, the revolution happened, and during that revolution, people held hands around the library to protect it from vandalism, and they really wanted to protect the values and everything that that library represented. So we tell the story of that in Hands Around the Library, Protecting Egypt's Treasured Books. And that's, it gives, when I talk to children about the book, you ask them what they know about Egypt, and it's always pyramids and mummies. So this tells them that Egypt is a modern country as well. And that's part of what children need to know, that people all over the world live lives that in some ways are very similar to theirs. And that's part of what we want to do with children's books, is introduce children to as many different cultures and ideas and peoples as possible.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was based on an actual event that had really
Yes, mine are nonfiction picture books, so they are, so it introduces current events to young children.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And Lulu, how did you get started?
Well, like you said in the introduction, I started in 1980, and I started as an illustrator, and then became an author out of necessity, because I couldn't find a book for my own daughters that would show, both in pictures and in words, the beauty of the folklore that many Latin American people share. Game songs, gentle games, lullabies. Like, for example, in this book, Arroyo Mi Niño, Latino Lullabies and Gentle Games, published by Leon Lowe, it's a collection of gentle games and lullabies that connect all of us Latinas. And what happened with this book, which happened also with another book of mine that I created 26 years ago, is that Latinas read the title of the book and they start singing, because this is folklore. These songs connects us. These songs travel throughout different countries in Latin America, and we all share this beautiful folklore. So, well, I started because I couldn't find a book for my own daughters. And then this book was loved by many other Latina mothers living here in the United States of America.
And so did other Latina women contact you and say, write more, I love this? Is that
Well, actually, I'm in book number 37 right now. So it usually, all my books stem from either people that I meet, children that I see, my interactions. I go to many schools. I talk to many, many people. Of course, I have friends from all over, not only from Latin America, but from all over. I'm interested in cultures from all over the world. And yes, sometimes they will tell me, I would like a book like this. And then I sometimes create a book like this. So sometimes I go and reach out to Latinas, like in Arroyo Mi Niño, I actually interviewed 20-some different Latinos and Latinas in order to find out their favorite game songs and gentle games from their specific, the versions that they preferred, in order to have a comprehensive collection in this book. So a little bit of both.
Yeah. And do you write books that are not based in Hispanic or Latina culture?
Well, yes. Yes and no.
Okay.
Well, in a large, now I have you could say a body of work, because I have been doing this for a while now. Yes, I write fiction, I write nonfiction. Most of my book, however, do celebrate the Latino culture. Most of them are either in two versions, bilingual, like for example this one, How Far Do You Love Me, and Hasta Donde Me Amas, the same book in two languages. And I wrote, which is it's really a book that is, this book is talks, it's a game of love. A mother playing with her son, a game about how far do you love me instead of how much. So they travel throughout 7 continents of the world with love. And in these countries, 7 continents, they see all sorts of parents, adults with loving adults with their children. And it shows that love's travels is everywhere. And I first wrote it in Spanish, and it was my daughter, my older daughter, who translated it into English, because I don't write poetry in English, only in Spanish. But, I do a little bit of everything. I can't copy myself, but most of my books do celebrate the Latino heritage, because I really believe that we need books here in the United States of America that not only portray the Latino heritage as it is for children that come from Hispanic countries, but also that they serve as windows for children that do not know anything about these cultures. It is very important for children in the public schools, in the library, to go pick up a book that where they can see themselves. I started the books that I do because I couldn't find books for my own daughters. And then I discovered that, like me, there were hundreds, if not thousands, of parents that were looking for the same kind of book. And the funny thing is, years and years ago, when one of my first books came out, I was told by this librarian that this child, who was not Latino, I think he was Korean, wanted to check out the book because it was a book that had another language in it, that it wasn't English, and it had children that were not all white. This was years and years ago, but we still need more of these books.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. Karen, you wrote your book pretty recently compared to when Lulu started writing hers. Have you noticed any changes?
It's happening very, very slowly,
Yeah.
and Lulu was really in the forefront of writing books, culturally appropriate books, many years ago. There's a movement now, it's a national movement, and those of us locally have signed on for it, called We Need Diverse Books. It's a hashtag, it's a website, it's authors and publishers who are emphasizing to parents, to librarians, to teachers, that we need more diverse books, and we need them written by diverse authors, about diverse children, and we need them read by all children.
Correct.
That's part of what 10% of the children's books in the past 21 years contain multicultural content, and that has hardly changed. In the last 2 years, when we've had this We Need Diverse Books, it went from 10% to 14%.
Yeah.
Still a minuscule
Yes.
portion, and we hope that it will keep on growing. But it's definitely an effort. There's an awareness of it now. Every now and then there'll be a famous article talking about how we need more diverse books, and then it fades, and then it comes back, and we really want it to stay. It is important, as I mentioned, not just for Latino children and Korean children and also children with disabilities to see themselves in a book, but for other children to see all of these children in a book. My children should also be reading about Latino children and Korean children and Native American children and children with disabilities, not always as the focus of the book, not as the subject of the book, but as characters doing normal things in books, just as children sitting around the lunch table and one of them happens to be in a wheelchair and one of them happens to be Korean, and they see all of these children together around the table and realize that's the way a table should be, is all of us around there together. It makes that second nature a cultural acceptance. It just builds that in from a very early age.
Yeah, I agree. Lulu, you were going to say.
Well, yes, it is precisely how you you create tolerance. It starts with children's books. When a child sees that it's normal to have, you know, in the main character of the book, may not look like himself, then all of a sudden, his world is opened up.
Right.
And that's how you learn. I think that all these books, they need to reach all children.
Yes.
Libraries should have diverse books because they are the antidote.
Please stay with us. Fascinating, fascinating story, and we'll be right back after this short break.
When you donate goods in response to an international disaster, it's expensive.
They have to cross the sea, pass through customs, be inspected, sorted, then finally delivered.
And often they arrive too late to help, making your good intentions feel a little empty.
There is a better way.
Cash donations are fast, simple, and allow professional relief workers to purchase supplies close at hand.
Cash is best. Learn more at CIDI.org.
It's our duty to serve veterans and military families who serve their country in the most difficult ways imaginable. Together, we can say thank you in so many ways. Small acts of kindness mean more than anything. With our support, veterans and military families can face even the most difficult challenges. Let's honor their service with ours.
When I was younger, I was never told to think about college. No one really thought that I could go to college. But I still wanted to go to college, like my brother. So I told my family that I wanted to go to college. It wasn't easy, and it took a lot of work, but I made it. I'm a student at Mass Bay Community College. Make your dreams come true, and think college.
For information about college for people with intellectual disabilities, visit thinkcollege.net.
Hi, welcome back to Connecting Our Community. We have Lulu and Karen, two wonderful children's book authors. And Lulu, I'm sorry I interrupted you just as we were going to break. If you'd like to finish your thought.
Well, Pat, what I was saying is that in the world that we live now with all these, you know, things that are occurring, these books, diverse books that show children from all over telling their stories of, you know, their cultures, heritage, they create tolerance. And it is precisely at this level that you need these books in order to be the antidote of the restlessness that we have currently in the world.
Yeah,
so.
I agree. I think everyone would agree with that. So if I were someone who wanted to write a book about diversity, about children's stories, whatever, what would I do?
Well, actually, if you were someone from
Ethnic minority.
someone of color that would like to get into the field, I would have to mention that you need to go to Leon Lowe Books. They are the publisher of many of my books, and Leon Lowe Books has had a New Voices Award for the past 15 years. This award, actually, they select with a committee. Anybody can submit a manuscript, and the award winner will get published by Leon Lowe. Leon Lowe right now is the largest multicultural children's book publisher in America. And they publish books that are about everyone, for everyone. And so it's a very good place to start. And they have a lot of things there. They have other initiatives right now. Actually, they have a partner with We Need Diverse Books that we've already talked about for an internship grant within the publishing. And they also establish a scholarship that provides opportunity for students of color to enroll in the Simmons College Graduate Program for Children, a program in children's literature. So there are several initiatives that are going on in order to create awareness and openness and ways to keep reaching the population that needs this book with books properly done.
Yeah, so there is a college degree that you can get specifically for children's books?
Well,
For
this
writing,
is
or children's diversity?
Well, Simmons College graduate program in children's literature. So that would be for a person of color that would like to be a children's literature specialist. And they do not have, as far as I understand, they do not have the resources in order to get into this program. Then this way they will be able to get into the program. And this is because one of the things that it's being talked about, it's the gap that exists, and I don't know if you want to talk about that too later, the gap that exists in the amount of children that need these books in the United States of America, and the gatekeepers, sort of saying the gatekeepers, the editors in the publishing houses, the literature specialists or librarians, the reviewers, many of them represent a minority, and they don't represent all the minorities that exist here in the U.S. And that is part of the problem, because if the editors are not of color, then they may not want to publish those books because they think that nobody's going to buy those books.
And they don't see it as a problem
correct.
because it doesn't affect them
Exactly.
in particular. So Karen, I'll bring you in on this. How do you overcome that? How do you find people?
Well, and part of it is starting with the librarians and the parents and the teachers looking for books, and there are excellent books out there. There are many award programs for books written by and about ethnic minorities. There's a whole list of them on the We Need Diverse Books website, every ethnic group you can imagine. Mm-hmm. And Lulu's book has won several of these awards. My Hands Around the Library book won the Children's Africana Book Award, which is actually administered locally here in Washington, the CABA Award, and it goes each year to books that focus on African countries and tell accurate stories, not stereotypes, about African countries. This year's winner was The Red Pencil by Andrea Pinkney, about a girl in Darfur, Sudan, who had to leave and become a refugee. So it's a very poignant story.
Yeah.
And the Children's Africana Book Award is run by the Africa Access Review Organization. They also have started a Read Africa Week. In every February, they want parents, teachers, anybody to read aloud from these books, and you can get the list of all sorts of books about Africa on their website, and then talk about it on the website about how you've read books to children and gotten them excited about. And again, this is not just for African American children. This is for all of our children, so that we know more about Africa than lions and tigers and bears.
Right. Oh my. Yes. Exactly. So these awards are I know that a lot of people are familiar with the Caldecott Awards for books, the Newbery Awards for books, but these other awards for diverse books don't seem to be getting the publicity.
There's one for disability. There's Snyder Award for disability. Some of the ones that get the most attention are given at the annual American Library Association conference. So they get the most attention. But within the literary community, within the library community, these other awards are certainly very very well known and
Yeah.
appreciated. Lulu's book, your book won.
Well, actually, I have 3 books
Yes,
that have
other
won
women.
the Pura Belpré Honor Award for Illustration. One of them is Arrorró mi Niño. Another one is The Storyteller's Candle, which was written by Lucia Gonzalez, a storyteller herself, librarian, and puppeteer as well, and from Cuba. And it won the Pura Belpré Honor Award not only for illustration but also for the manuscript. It won 9 awards, this book.
And it
The
is
Jane
story
Addams
of
Award.
It is the story of Pura
And it's the story of Pura Belpré. Pura Belpré was a Puerto Rican librarian in New York City during the Depression, and she was instrumental into getting the newly arrived Puerto Rican community in New York City into the library. This was an estranged community because they thought that they were not welcome at the library. Speaking Spanish, they didn't know about the culture. And she went into the schools and talked to them about, she was from Puerto Rico herself, talked to them about what they could find in the library. And through the children, then she drew all the parents into the library. So she was instrumental. And the American Library Association started this award precisely to shed light on, named after Pura Belpré, to shed light into the books that are created by Latinos here in the U.S. and that tell authentic stories, stories that that highlight the heritage, the culture, and who Latinos are here in the U.S. And it is very important to like we've been discussing, to see yourself in a book. And the Pura Belpré Award may not be as known as the Caldecott, but I hope that eventually it will be. And I will say, though, that I have noticed that since the Pura Belpré Award was created, the books, my books, get a lot more, my contracts are better. It's true. It's really true. So the award has actually achieved what it wanted to achieve, which is to shed light in certain really good books that if they didn't have a little seal here, if the book didn't have that round seal here, nobody would check it out because, oh, that person on the cover doesn't look like me. Am I gonna like it? At least the seal helps, in the child or the parent, because sometimes it's not even the child, it's the parent who chooses the book, helps the parent say, well, let's see if that book is good. Let's check it out because it has the seal. So I will say that that's a wonderful thing that they've created. So there, as Pura Belpré, you also have the Coretta Scott King Award. There are a number of awards that may not be as well known, but they are extremely important. And if you want to know which diverse books to choose, which diverse books are really good for my child to read with me, to sit with my child and read to him or her. So you go to, for example, the site of Winnie Diverse Books and look under where to find diverse books, and they actually have categorized that, as books from Africa or books from African Americans or Latino, or they have all these LGTB, so they have all these categories. So there are ways you can find really good literature that is diverse.
We are almost to the end of the show, believe it or not. The time has flown by. But Karen, if you could say one thing to leave our viewers with in terms of either writing a diverse book yourself or finding a diverse book,
I would say find it. If whether you're a parent or a teacher or a child, the next time you go into a bookstore or a library, look for a book about someone who's different from you, and you'll find out how many things you have in common.
I could not have come up with a better way to end the show. That's perfect. Please do that. For more information about Lulu Delacre's books or the work she's doing, you can visit her website, luludelacre.com. To get involved with We Need Diverse Books, you can visit their website, weneeddiversebooks.org. For more information about Africa Access, visit their website. I want to thank you both so much again for being
you,
with
Pat.
us.
Thank you, Pat.
Fantastic topic, and you all are terrific ambassadors for diversity. Thank you all for joining us as well, and we hope to see you again next time on the next episode of Connecting Our Community.